What's happening, everybody? Thursday, June 4th, 2025. My name is Kevin Smith. Thank you so much for tuning in to Loud Majority Live. We got a jam-packed show for you guys today. President Trump just got off the phone with Vladimir Putin, according to multiple sources. We will bring you guys any updates we get on that. He may be speaking during this hour on his call. We'll wait to see if and when that happens. We'll obviously bring that to you guys live, but make sure you guys do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We're rocking. We are rolling here at the 1 p.m. hour. Democrats have reached a new low. Oh boy. Things are not going well. Things are not going well for the Democrats. They are leaderless. They have nothing going on. Republicans are doing everything imaginable to screw that up. But Democrats continuing to not emerge with any sort of leadership whatsoever. As we look, I hate to say this because the damn election just ended. But look, the midterms are right around the corner. Early voting in New Jersey for their governor race starts right now. Early voting in New York, multiple primaries happening beginning in 10 days. So, look, elections never stop. Elections never stop happening. So we'll bring you guys all the updates on that. Also, in a very interesting nugget, obviously we are in the midst of Pride Month, which is something that I guess you have to say. But many companies are beginning to pull back I wouldn't say their support, their financial backing to many of these sorts of events, including one big company in particular. That would be Major League Baseball. You guys know this is a baseball channel. We love baseball on this show. So we're going to talk about all of that. Also, ICE deports 142 criminal immigrants just in the Houston area. This comes as Hakeem Jeffries, very, very upset. Very, very upset. He wants the names of these ICE agents that are roaming around the city, keeping us all safe. It's probably why he's not going to get it. And James O'Keefe releases a new documentary talking about what happened at Project Veritas. This is obviously very personal and very important to me. So we'll talk about all that. And if you guys stick around to the end of the show, a sheriff's deputy in Miami-Dade County went home with a woman and got a little bit more than he bargained for. Yeah. You pretty much know how that one's going to end. But once again, guys, do me a favor and hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We are rocking. We are rolling. Before we get started, guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com. That's loudmajorityusa.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out our shop. That is the best way to support this network and everything we've got going on. Pick up your eerily similar-looking Jack Daniels t-shirt that I am wearing right now. Obviously, it is not Jack Daniels for the lawyers out there. It just looks similar to it. So, guys, you guys can use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. That's promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. So, Democrats are in a bad way. Democrats are in a very, very bad way right now, and even CNN is coming out and having to admit to it. Now, there's a number of reasons why this is happening. Number one, I believe we are in the era of politics where you have to be for something. You can't just run a campaign being against things. And right now, all the Democrats have is being against whatever President Trump is doing. They are absolutely for nothing. For nothing. If Trump wants it, it's bad. That's it. And we're seeing shocking polling coming out about how the American people feel about the Democrats. Here with CNN saying something, I bet they never thought they'd have to.
How Americans sort of see the parties. Which party is better described as the party with strong leaders? Look at this.
Wow.
16% of Americans say Democrats, 40% say that of the Republican Party. Now, overall, no party's doing great. Lots of Americans say neither of these qualities apply to either party. But look at how much worse off the Democrats are. A party that gets things done. Only 19% of Americans say that about the Democrats. 36% say it about the Republicans. In fact, the only place that the Democrats are numerically ahead, party of the middle class, this is basically a tie, though.
Yeah.
34% say that of Democrats, 32% say that of Republicans. But this, I think, is the most fascinating. How do partisans talk about their own party? Right? So among Democrats and Democratic leaners, 32% say Democrats are the party with strong leaders. I mean, of their own kind, right? 82% of Republican and Republican leaders say that about the GOP. Only 41% of Democrats say they're the party that gets things done of their own kind. And I will just say, 51%, Manu, a majority of Democratic and Democratic leaners say neither party gets the party that gets things done attribute. Imagine that's the project that Democrats are working on.
Yeah, and beyond the issues here, there's some structural problems with the Democrats as well.
There are. And again, this is where we ended up on election night in 2024. This is by county.
I mean, that is bad. Look, it is one thing to think that the other party is useless. Obviously, Republicans think Democrats are useless and vice versa. But it is one thing. 19% think the 19% of Democrats believe that the Democratic Party is the party who can get things done. And why is that? Why is that? Well, obviously, it's because they're not doing anything. But there's more to it than that, I think. It's because the loudest Democrats are the ones out there pushing the weirdest crap possible. Whether it's the radical trans stuff, and I want to make something very clear because we're going to talk about a lot of gay stuff on the show today. I absolutely do not care who you sleep with. I am not in support of it. I am not against it. I don't care. As a matter of fact, the last thing every day I'm thinking about is who someone else is sleeping with. It's just not really on my mind. I have a running theory that usually when people are talking about other people's sex lives, it's because they don't have any stories of their own to tell. That's normally what happens. Elon Musk and Nick Cannon each have like 15 kids. I'm sure they're not out there talking about other people's sex lives because they're pretty busy themselves. So I want to make that very clear. I don't care at all. But Democrats seem obsessed with it in a graphic way. So what have Democrats decided to do? Well, they've decided naturally they're going to assemble a think tank. They're going to assemble a think tank to get away from wokeness and identity politics. This is from the Daily Caller. Now, they don't need a think tank to do this. They could just stop doing it. Like, the doctor says you have to quit smoking. You quit smoking. I don't need to have a bunch of people sit around and figure out for me why heroin is bad. If you don't want to do it, you don't do it. But the most radical Democrats want this stuff. They want to keep pushing this stuff. And because of that, they are straying further and further and further away from whatever someone would call democratic values. So much so that the Democrats have just lost a key member of the Democratic Party. Now, before I reveal to you who this is, because this is just really funny, it seems like every week there's some story about, I don't know, some state representative in Nebraska or some Georgia legislator, someone you've never heard of, who switches from the Democratic Party to the Republican Party. I can't think of a single person, and I'd say I'm somebody that follows the news in quite a serious way. I can't think of a single instance in which someone has been like, these Republicans, they're too much. I think I'm going to become a Democrat. Seriously, I can't think of a single one who has done it. but they've lost a key member. Before we get to that, Mike Lindell.
I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98. They sell out fast every year, so order now. Save 20% on our brand new My Crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one I've worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's, and they're made right here in the USA. Get our 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. Our initial quantities are extremely low, so get them now before they go. And our best-selling standard My Pillows, just $14.98. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to take advantage of our first ever mega sale. But wait, remember that $75 free shipping rule? Well, that ship is sailed because right now, every order ships absolutely free. I'm excited to announce that we're having our first ever mega sale on overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. Queen size only $59.98. Kings only $69.98.
Sorry about that, guys. Head on over to MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD for up to 80% off everything on the website. That's MyPillow.com, promo code LOUD. So the Democrats have lost a key member of the Democratic coalition. It is wild. Karine Jean-Pierre, the chief propagandist for the Democrats for 4 years, has decided that she's now going to put out a new book. Because obviously it's time for every Democratic propagandist on planet Earth to drop a new book. The new book is called Independent: A Look Inside a Broken White House Outside the Party Lines. This new book is detailing all the reasons why Karine Jean-Pierre is leaving the Democratic Party. This is one of the funniest things I think I've ever heard. Here's KJP.
Personally, I think what was the toughest thing to see in the 3 weeks was there was a disconnect for me, what was happening with leadership in the Democratic Party and how it was truly, as my former colleague, communications director Ben LeBolt said, it was a firing squad. And I had never seen anything like it before. I'd never seen a party do that in the way that they did. And it was hurtful and sad to see that happening. A firing squad around a person who I believe was a true patriot, a person who I believe did everything that he can for this country, a person who I believe, as I mentioned before, has done more in one term than most presidents had done in 2 terms, historical things. And I was shocked by what I was seeing.
And Karine,
So the reason she's leaving the Democratic Party is because of how mean they were to Joe Biden, the firing squad. She called it, now ignoring the fact that she was the chief propagandist for the Joe Biden administration. Let's ignore that. Let's move forward. Let's forget about that. Look, obviously she's out with the book grift. But saying that she's going to leave the Democratic Party over this is incredibly wild. The DEI hire from MSNBC, I'm really getting sick and tired of all these acronyms, is leaving the party over how they treated Joe Biden. So Democrats are sitting back and they're going, all right, here's what we got to do. Here's what we got to do. We got to come up with a think tank. We got to figure out how to get away from the wokeness. We got to figure out how to get away from the identity politics. So some Democrats, this is from the Daily Caller, are looking to create a new think tank in efforts to urge the Democratic Party to promote more popular political positions. This was first reported by Politico. During a private meeting with several Democratic donors and leaders in April, Adam Gentleson, who had previously served as the chief of staff to Democratic Senator John Fetterman and a top aide to former Senate Majority Leader Harry Reid, pitched the idea to establish a new think tank called Starlight. Ooh, Starlight. I'm sorry, Searchlight. Searchlight. Somehow that's an even worse name. The think tank's goal would be to encourage the Democratic Party to refocus on positions that are viewed more popularly among Americans ahead of the 2028 presidential elections. 5 anonymous sources told Politico. So, let's get this straight. No one likes Democrats, so a bunch of them have to get into a room and figure out a way to convince people to like them. Guys, just stop being insane. Just stop being the party of the most extreme things on planet Earth and people will like you again. It's not really all that hard. The polling gets way worse for Democrats when you dive even further in.
The poll also asked which party...
Oh, I'm sorry. This clip is on the economic news. This is why I wanted to play this. Democratic pollsters are now saying that economic polls are becoming increasingly more and more hard to track. But why is that? You keep seeing polls about how people feel about the economy. You keep seeing polls about this and that and how everybody feels. Well, it turns out even a Democratic pollster is now coming out and saying it is virtually impossible to poll any particular issue because of the hyperpartisanship of the United States. What does he mean by that? Well, if you like Trump, you think the economy is good. And if you don't like Trump, you think the economy is bad. Regardless of anything, regardless if the economic data shows that we've basically regained everything we lost on Liberation Day, despite the fact that tariffs are going into place, despite the fact that people's 401ks have rebounded, despite the fact that if you listened to smart people and bought the dip, you probably did very well in NVIDIA and Tesla. Still, people are out there saying that as long as they don't like the person doing it, they're going to say things are bad.
The poll also asked which party best reflects their view on a range of issues. And when it comes to crime, the economy, immigration, Republicans still hold an advantage, although actually those numbers are starting to slip. How did you think about this poll as you were looking through?
I couldn't help but be reminded about a big problem in my part of the world, the econ part of the world. We can't get a clean read on how consumers feel about the economy because the data has been infected by partisanship, really in an unprecedented manner. So,
meaning your partisanship reflects whether or not you think the economy is good or not?
Do people think the economy is not doing well, or do they just not like who's in the White House? This is a huge problem right now, and it's making it impossible to get that clarity that economists like to see about how consumers are doing. Do they intend to spend? Makes it impossible to forecast.
Oh no, economists can't figure things out. That's basically been the story of economists forever. They no, they don't know what to do now. So Democrats are going to get this think tank together to figure out how to get people to like them again. Another anonymous Democratic donor advisor who heard Gentleson, this back from the article, pitch to Politico that the effort is in part to attempt to encourage the Democratic Party to, quote, have a moderate voice and move away from the woke identity politics. Quote, they're saying we need a moderate voice because we're losing everyone and we have to come back to the center and get away from the woke identity politics. The anonymous source told Politico they want to begin a research and communication hub for that, which is great, but we already have a bunch of entities who do that. Yes, it's called Twitter. It's called Twitter. It's called going outside. You want to know how people feel about things? Go walk down the boardwalk in New Jersey. They'll tell you. You don't have to come up with a think tank. First off, I think we should get rid of all think tanks in general, but that's just me personally. Some Democratic leaders have publicly criticized their own party's approach to key political issues in the aftermath of the Republican Party winning the White House, the Senate, and the House. Democratic Rep. Tim Walz said in March that he believed Democrats have allowed the GOP to define the issue on such things as immigration and DEI. Well, yeah, you have let Republicans define the issue. Our way is good, and your way is less than good. It's not hard, Tim Walz. It's not hard. It really doesn't help when you have lunatics out there like Hakeem Jeffries running the party. Now, I want to be clear. You watch this show, you watch LFA TV, you're going to think all Democrats are insane. There are some normal ones out there. They're wrong, but they're not insane. You've heard me mention Congressman Ro Khanna, who has a populist economic message and isn't an asshole. I think if he were leading the Democratic Party, they would be doing a lot better right now. Instead, they've got the woke brigade out there. Instead, they have old-timers who will not give up the throne, which, if you're in the Republican Party, you certainly can understand. You certainly understand that. However, at least there are some entities in the Republican Party that are able to moderate, that are able to become younger. Democrats simply will not give this up, and because of it, they are stuck in their old ways. The American people do not want mass migration into this country. Later on in the show, we're going to show you another country that feels exactly the same way. They do not want people in this country who are illegal and also violent criminals to be roaming the streets. And we've got a new report out from ICE saying that they've deported 142 criminal immigrants just from Houston with nearly 500 prior convictions. Are you kidding me right now? ICE officials announced the deportation of over 140 criminal immigrants from just Houston to Mexico in an 11-day span. Giddy up, let's go. This from the Post Millennial. According to the agency's report, the individuals removed had a total of 480 criminal entries into the United States and were convicted of 473 crimes, including child sexual abuse, human trafficking, and aggravated assault. Lovely. Lovely. See, guys, if we don't let these people in, who's going to cure cancer? Who's going to discover cold fusion if we don't allow in, the human trafficking, child abusing, aggravated assaulting illegal immigrants from Mexico? Unfortunately, this is not an anomaly, the Houston field office director Brett Bradford said to the outlet. For the past few years, there have been virtually no deterrent to illegals entering the country. As a result, millions of illegal aliens have poured into the country, including violent criminal aliens, child predators, transnational gang members, and foreign fugitives. Many of these dangerous criminal aliens went on to prey on law-abiding residents in the local communities right here in Southeast Texas, and we are laser focused on identifying them and removing them from the country before they harm anyone else. Sounds reasonable to me. Sounds fairly reasonable to me, but there are some people out there who this is not reasonable for. Some people out there apparently didn't get the memo that it's time for Democrats to start up their new think tank. One of those people we'll show you right after this. Here's Jeremy. Oh, where did it go? Where did it go? Oh, no. For a second, we will go to, what do we got? We will go to Old Glory Bank.
When big banks decide who gets access to America's financial systems and who doesn't, who do you think gets left out? Middle Americans who proudly wave their pro-America values. Cancel culture in banking is corrosive. It limits your participation in a vibrant, free market economy. Fortunately, you can fight back. You now have the opportunity to invest in the bank that's investing in a fair American banking system, one based in freedom. Ownership in Old Glory Bank, the pro-America online bank, is here. Old Glory Bank is a full-service FDIC-insured bank that's the alternative to overreaching, un-American big banks. We stand for privacy, security, and liberty. We stand for freedom, family, faith, and the flag. We stand for all the values you stand for, and for the values big banks can't stand. So help keep banking in the hands of Main Street, not Wall Street. To invest in Old Glory Bank, go to oldglorybank.com.
Guys, switching banks has never been easier than when I switched over to Old Glory Bank, and you can too, with over 800 physical locations to make deposits and do withdrawals all over the country. Old Glory Bank makes banking easy, and you finally can break away from the big bank empire. So go to oldglorybank.com. That's oldglorybank.com. So, some people, this is not obvious that immigration is the defining moment of our time. So much so that House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries says he wants to know the names of ICE agents doing the deportation. First off, you can wish in one hand and crap in the other and see which one fills up first. Here's Hakeem.
Thanks. Leader Jeffries, you had said after Congresswoman McIver was, I think you said, physically accosted by ICE officials that you wanted them identified, the officials that accosted them. Have they been identified, and what do you expect from, or do you want the agents that were harassing Jerry Nadler's staffers in his district office also identified? What's the latest, or how are Democrats going to respond to the Jerry?
Every single ICE agent who's engaged in this aggressive overreach and are trying to hide their identities from the American people will be unsuccessful in doing that. This is America. This is not the Soviet Union. We're not behind the Iron Curtain. This is not the 1930s. And every single one of them, no matter what it takes, no matter how long it takes, will of course be identified. That, in fact, is the law. And we're going to make sure that the American people have the transparency necessary to hold people accountable when they're folks who cross the line here in America. That's what's going to happen. And as I mentioned earlier, when I spoke to Congressman Nadler about this, our first priorities are always going to be making sure the person who was on the front line is in the best possible place to move forward. That's the case with LaMonica McIver, and it is also the case with Congressman Nadler's brave, young, patriotic staffer.
We're not in the Soviet Union, he says, and because of that, he wants the names of ICE agents. No, you're not getting them. That's why we continue to see these ICE agents wearing masks everywhere they go. Now, I'll be honest with you, it's not a great look to see members of law enforcement having to wear masks, having to conceal their identity because radical people on the left want to dox them, want to hurt their families. And Todd Lyons, the acting ICE director, said as much in a press conference yesterday.
I'm going to answer the mask question. So, no, not the mask, the mask. So, a lot of agencies were invited to come out 2 weeks ago in Los Angeles where we ran an operation where ICE officers were doxxed. So let's just say that again. People are out there taking photos of the names, their faces, and posting them online with death threats to their family and themselves. So I'm sorry if people are offended by them wearing masks, but I'm not going to let my officers and agents go out there and put their lives on the line and their family on the line because people don't like what immigration enforcement is. They are wearing those masks because we ran an operation with the Secret Service where we arrested someone that was going online, taking their photos, posting their families, their kids' Instagram, their kids' Facebooks, and targeting them. So let me ask, is that the issue here, that we're just upset about the masks? Or is anyone upset with the fact that ICE officers' families were labeled terrorists?
So if you don't want ICE agents wearing masks, maybe the best thing to do would be not to dox them and their entire family, putting them at risk for simply doing their job, simply enforcing immigration law. But Democrats cannot moderate on anything. And because of that, they have to open think tanks to teach them how to talk to other human beings. Watching their demise, watching their self-imposed demise has been one of the funniest things I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Guys, we're going to keep rocking and rolling here. Hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. Let's pop that live chat. How is everybody doing today? Lovely Thursday, June 4th, baby. Lovely Thursday. Hope everybody is having a good time today. Jeanette, Vivian, how are you? AC Knight, what's happening? Let's see. K-Mac, how we doing? Chomper, what are we doing? How are we doing? I should say. Jedi Legend Ryu. Is that a Star Wars reference? I don't know. I've never seen it before. Never seen Star Wars. I've made it this far in life, and I don't need to keep watching it. Sherry, what's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Also, guys, for all my local viewers out there, make sure you guys keep it locked in here for all the updates for the Save the Chief Festival going on Long Island this weekend. I'm so excited about this. I got to be honest with you guys. That's going to be Saturday in Massapequa High School. Make sure you guys tune in for all the updates on that. Stay tuned for all of the videos that'll be coming out about that. Do I keep saying Thursday? It's Wednesday. What the hell? It's Wednesday. That's like the fourth time I said it. Sorry about that, everybody. Sorry about that. Once again, hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out. So when it comes to the radicalization of Democrats, naturally, we've got to talk about the alphabet people. Because nothing says radicalism like the alphabet people. Now, I want to be clear. And I said it at the top of the show, and I'll say it again. The absolute last thing I care about on this planet is who you're sleeping with. Unless you're sleeping with me, I don't really care. Have a party, sing a song, do a dance. Maybe take it easy with the parades, because we don't need parades for everything. Matter of fact, if I'm being totally honest with you, I don't really think we need parades for anything, but that's not because of the issue. That's because I hate parades. But it turns out some Pride events, now that we have reached Pride Month, are facing budget shortfalls as U.S. companies pull support ahead of the summer festivities. Oh, no. How are you going to pay all your protesters to go out and start protesting people like me for no reason? Many corporations is from the AP. So this is from the Associated Press, not from Breitbart, not from the Daily Wire, not from Bongino, from the Associated Press. Many U.S. corporations this year have stopped supporting Pride events, causing hundreds of thousands of dollars in budget shortfalls ahead of the summer festivities, raising questions about America's commitment to the cause. Yeah, because it turns out none of these corporations actually cared who you slept with either. They just did it for the money. The San Francisco Pride, the nonprofit that produces one of the country's largest and best-known LGBTQ plus celebrations, is facing a $200,000 budget gap after corporations dropped out. The Kansas City Pride lost about $200,000 also. Heritage of Pride, the umbrella organization behind New York Pride, is facing a $750,000 budget gap after the companies withdrew. Meanwhile, companies like Anheuser-Busch ended its sponsorship with Pride Fest in St. Louis, its home base, after 30 years, leaving the organization $150,000 in the hole. In response to the many Pride organizations have canceled some dance parties. I don't know why you need money to throw a dance party, but whatever. Reducing the number of stages, hiring less pricey headliners, and no longer giving volunteers free food or T-shirts. Aw. Poor you. You're so oppressed. Following media coverage of the retreat, some companies changed course, but asked that their names not be affiliated with the event. You know what that means? If you support a cause, but you beg them not to mention it, that's called extortion. Fine, we'll give you the money, just shut up about it. Some corporations have begun to rethink their Pride sponsorships. San Francisco Pride earlier this year lost the support of 5 major corporate donors, including Comcast, Anheuser-Busch, Diageo, Guinness, and Smirnoff. All right. Everybody, have a stout on me. No, I'm not paying for it. I'm just kidding. With everything we're facing with the Trump administration, to lose 5 of our partners within just a couple of weeks felt like we were being abandoned, said the leader of the Pride organization. Well, isn't that a shame? Isn't that a damn shame? Here's another group that, I got to be honest with you, I'm proud of them. Pride? I'm proud of them. Because it turns out 10 NFL franchises, the wokest, the most diverse, let's be honest here, the place where the least amount of equity or inclusion takes place, I want to be clear. I wasn't included in the NFL, and I think that's very unfair. But some NFL franchises have chosen not to participate in Gay Pride Month. Will your team be on that list? We will see in 1 second. Before that, here's Jeremy.
Hey, everyone. I really hope you are enjoying the program today, and I hope you enjoy LFA TV as a whole, because let's face it, we're not getting any younger. However, if there was a way to slow down our aging and live a little bit longer, would we do it? I think we would. You ever heard of Fatty 15, folks? Well, Fatty 15 is a brand new supplement that has C15 in it. You might ask, what's C15? Well, C15 is the first fatty acid to be discovered in 90 years that actually prolongs your life. Over 100 studies over many years were done on dolphins because these 2 doctors were in charge of basically increasing the dolphin population. So they started introducing this fatty acid called C15, and what they found was something amazing. The dolphins were living longer, and the dolphin pods were growing bigger. It was an amazing discovery. And now, ladies and gentlemen, you can get C15 introduced into your life to slow down the aging process of your cells. And it's not only going to make you feel and you look younger, but it's going to make your body think it is younger, which means you're going to start doing more things again. There's a thing called cellular fragility syndrome. And cellular fragility syndrome happens as we get older. This is going to reverse it, folks. Fatty15.com/LFA, promo code LFA. That is fatty15.com/LFA, promo code LFA. Get your discount today, folks, and start this new journey to help you live longer. Fatty15.com/LFA, promo code LFA today. Now, back to the program. Thank you very much.
So, which NFL teams have decided to ditch Pride Month? Also, real quick, Smirnoff, you can keep sponsoring it because if you're drinking Smirnoff, whatever. So which NFL teams have ditched Pride Month? Maybe your team is on that list. The Dallas Cowboys, the Cincinnati Bengals, the Cleveland Browns, the Indianapolis Colts, the Las Vegas Raiders, the New Orleans Saints, which is pretty weird because New Orleans is like the gayest place on earth, Tennessee Titans, the Kansas City Chiefs, owned by a super-based Hunt family, the Philadelphia Eagles, and as much as this pains me to say it, considering most of their fans are gay to begin with, the New York Jets. Yeah, I said it. That was for Sean. All those teams have decided that they are not going to make social media posts acknowledging Pride Month. Very interesting. Former NFL star Des Bryant also voiced frustration over the league's messaging, saying the NFL has gone too far in pushing the LGBTQ agenda for a league that's supposed to be focused on football. Bryant's came after an original video posted by the NFL in 2021 began circulating online. And look, you want to alienate fans? Put your racist nonsense in the end zones. You want to alienate fans? Kneel during the national anthem. If you really want to alienate fans, you put up an advertisement like this. Guys, football is not for everyone. You know how I know that? Because Kevin is here hosting a podcast and is not currently the middle linebacker on the Giants. Neither are any of you. Football is not for everyone. Many of us guys learned that around senior year in high school. But the NFL had to pretend to be super gay for absolutely no reason. I just got a text message from somebody saying, leave the Jets alone. Hey, who told you to pick that color green? So some NFL teams have begun ditching this sort of nonsense, focused on, providing themselves a product. In 2022, the NFL unveiled an updated version of the Pride logo, which now includes the color of the trans flag and the intersectionally queer black and brown community. I don't even know what the hell that even means. I don't know what the hell that even means. But maybe some of these corporations will learn that it is time for them just to provide us with the product in which they make. Walmart, I don't need you to tell me who to sleep with. I need you to sell me cheap crap from other countries and food that has enough pesticides in it to kill a small horse. That's what I need you to do, Walmart. I don't need you to make gay onesies. I just don't. But all these corporations never really cared in the first place. And that's the important message. They were using you people. They were using the alphabet community in order to sell more crap. And now they're starting to figure out that maybe the financial benefit behind that is not all of what it once was. That's an absolute shame. Guys, do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. Share the video out all over the place. We got a couple more stories that I want to make sure I get to. One that is incredibly important to me on a personal level. One that's absolutely hilarious about a Miami sheriff's deputy who went out to a bar, took home a woman, and got a little bit more than he bargained for. Got a little bit more than he bargained for. How you doing? Guys, hit the thumbs up button. Share the video out before we keep rocking and rolling. Head on over to lfatv.us. That's lfatv.us. That's your home base, your mothership, your landing pad for all things LFA-TV related. Check out the LFA-TV store. And while you guys are there, consider becoming a monthly donor over at LFA-TV. We really appreciate the support. This is user-generated content, and we can't do it without your help. We can't do it without your help. Conservative. Yes, it isn't even real football anymore. You're right. You're right. And yes, I'm sorry to all the Jet fans watching that I made fun of the Jets. No, I'm not. I'm not sorry at all. I make no apologies about that whatsoever. None at all. So let's check in. Let's check in on old Jake Tapper. How is Jake Tapper doing? Well, Jake Tapper has been making the rounds, doing almost every show. Obviously not this one, even though I'm continuing to try. He's been making the rounds on his big book tour. Well, it turns out his book sales have been a complete bust. An absolute nightmare for Jake Tapper. Despite changing his story multiple times and dry humping the PR-tested word of humility and appearing on every program this side of Wayne's World, Jake Tapper's fake-ass book, that's a quote. Hold on. I'm pulling that up. That is a quote from Breitbart. That is a quote from Breitbart. Can I get this on the screen? Jake Tapper's fake-ass book, Original Sin, has only moved 53,000 units since its release. That's amazing. As a great man once said, the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends towards justice. As another great man once said, ha-ha. Now that only 57,000 of the books have been sold, the first and last novel didn't sell. I'm sorry, my first and who wrote this? John Nolte. Tapper's ego is such that he wants to be the next Bob Woodward. So let's use the Bob Woodward book for context. In the first 7 days of Bob Woodward's last book, called Fear, Trump in the White House, that book sold 1.1 million copies in the first week. I want to be clear. Jake Tapper's book has sold slightly over 57,000 copies. Now, despite the fact that Jake has been on an unprecedented book tour, doing every show on planet Earth, from Stephen A. Smith to Megyn Kelly, CNN anchors have been pitching it left and right. 57,000? That is absolutely awful. This comes as Jake Tapper's ratings have never been lower. Despite the extensive promotion, The Lead with Jake Tapper averaged just over 500,000 total viewers from April 28th to May 25th, a 25% decline from the previous year, and the show's lowest ratings in the last 10 years. Tapper's show has accounted for 11% of the cable news audience share, compared to 21% for MSNBC and 68% for Fox during the same time period. Back in 2015, Jake might not have had many viewers, but at least he had a reputation. Now his reputation is gone, and he's right back to nobody watching. There can be no forgiveness without a full confession. There can be no redemption without full admission. Absolutely, Jake Tapper wanted Joe Biden to win, so he ignored reality. Like Mary Jo Buttafuoco, who would not accept the fact that her husband Joey had definitely slept with Amy Fisher, Jake Tapper chose to ignore reality. He chose to ignore what was right in front of his face. And because of that, the American people have turned on him. They've turned on him quickly. Absolutely hilarious. Look, I don't celebrate people's downfall unless they deserve it. I don't want to see bad things happen to people. I'm not evil. I'm not a Democrat. But if you do bad things and bad things happen to you back, well, stuff happens. Stuff happens. And we're going to talk about somebody in just a second. Well, a group of people who have done incredibly bad things to somebody that I consider to be a very good friend, somebody who's offered me a job in the past, somebody who has done been a friend for years. And that is James O'Keefe. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Before we do that, guys, head on over to loudmajorityusa.com, sign up for the newsletter, check out our shop. That's the best way to support this program and everything we've got going on. Head on over to loudmajorityusa.com and use promo code RUMBLE to get 20% off everything on the website. So, James O'Keefe, the president of O'Keefe Media Group, was ousted from the company that he started, Project Veritas. It was a nonprofit organization for journalism. We've used a lot of their material on this show before. And if you've been watching this show for a number of years, you know that I had a lot of choice words for a lot of the people involved in that kerfuffle. Now, it's very personal to me, because while I was obviously not on the inside, as many of my friends were, I was friends with a lot. I am friends with somebody. I'm still very good friends with somebody who used to work there who wasn't really involved in it. But there was a time that I called a lot of those people friends. And to see what they did, I thought was disgusting. I really did. Well, James has put out a new documentary, and I want to be clear, I haven't seen it yet, but I am very excited to watch it. Here's the trailer for the James O'Keefe documentary, The Truth Inside of Project Veritas.
I shouldn't have trusted these guys, but I did trust these guys.
A lot of people thought there was malfeasance. I would prefer to say ignorant of those events. I didn't want to know.
Nonprofit boards of directors can be very, very dangerous.
Fortunately, I have recordings and documents to back up everything I'm about to tell you.
Employees were starting to bundle up and talk.
If we're about to paint James as a criminal, it better be fucking good.
They sent a pic of me nailed to a cross.
They used these kids. Matt used them to further his agenda.
The reason why James was bad was morphing.
I never lived this lifestyle with black cards.
He's a mean boss.
Stress with his girlfriend is not appropriate.
I don't know that James has a private life.
James took a pregnant woman's sandwich. And these are people that we thought were people with integrity.
Who on the board is in control?
Turns out board members are taking money from donors.
How much did you invest in each of Matt Tierman's companies?
I don't think that's any of your business.
We're at the pinnacle of Mount Everest.
Are you refusing to answer the question?
Yes.
The only thing that has changed is that we broke the biggest story in our organization's history.
If a board statement goes out, it's fucking over.
A week later, everything changed.
And it wasn't right.
It was the timing of it that was so suspicious.
Is it fair to say that 3 of the 4 companies you've invested in, you would consider to be in the medical field?
So what did the board think people were going to assume?
One of the companies could be sold to a big pharma.
Like Pfizer.
Like Pfizer.
Did the board not think that people were going to assume the worst? I want to talk about your investments.
I want to talk about you.
I'm a fighter.
You're a cheat.
I'm a warrior.
You're a liar.
And I will get my justice. Not revenge, but justice.
Is it all about money? Too bad you can't afford that.
Big difference.
How do you define conflict of interest?
I want to be very clear. The people that you saw there, the exception of the board members, the guy in the driveway, I don't know. The guy at the very end, I don't know. There was R.C. Maxwell, who's been by James's side this whole time. He's a friend. He's a good friend. Someone else involved in that, whose name I will not say, but who is very obviously the bad guy in this situation. I've had run-ins with him in a negative way before and would do so again because I think he happens to be a real piece of shit. His name is Matt Tierman. I don't care who hears it. Sorry for the language, but he is. He's just a genuinely bad person, and I thought he was a weasel the second I met him. But he seems to be the ouster of this entire thing, and a lot is going to come out from this. You guys can go to O'KeefeMediaGroup.com, sign up over there, and watch the documentary for yourselves. I'm going to watch it later today. It's real. It's raw. And I'm happy James put it. I want to be clear. I get nothing from that. I'm not sponsored by them. I don't, there's no sort of deal involved. I want to support James in everything that he does. And I hope that James gets his nonprofit back. I hope he gets back Project Veritas. He deserves it. And I want to be clear. I'm going to show you another clip, and then I'll make one last point. Here's another clip from the documentary.
It was an emotional time, seeing his baby get ripped from him. And it wasn't right.
You never went through what I went through. You didn't endure all the things I had to endure.
Open up.
You weren't sleeping on a couch trying to raise $100 here, $1,000 here. I'm invoking the Constitution here. Every defendant has the right to a fair trial, and no justice can be done in Ferguson or New York City if a fair trial cannot be had. You didn't sleep on a mattress in Louisiana. You weren't falsely accused by the federal government, not once but twice. You didn't go through 3 jury trials.
Same James O'Keefe is facing federal felony charges that carry up to a $250,000 fine and 10 years in prison.
Never put on a hidden camera once in your life, other than to record me in my office. You didn't bleed and sweat and cry the way that I did for 14 years. And you come into my institution and you have the gall to tell me that you're not the bad guy. This was never about you.
I honestly can't wait to watch it, and I hope James gets the justice that he seeks. I still call him a friend. I still see him all the time. I'm working on getting him on the show to talk about this, what he can talk about, what he can't talk about, but I wish him nothing but the best, and I'll see you in Tampa, buddy. I'll see you in Tampa next month. I'll see you there. Guys, I promised you a funny story before we headed out today. Obviously, that was pretty serious, and I want to make sure that I get to that. Before we get to that, guys, once again, hit the thumbs up button. Sorry I kept saying it was Thursday. It's Wednesday. That's weird. I'm just out here skipping days. I remember Rush talking about O'Keefe's Acorn. Yeah. Absolutely. He's broken a lot of stories. AV in 1965. You know who I'm talking about? I'm sorry that you had to, I'm sorry. That's pretty funny. So I promised you a funny story, and here it is. There is a Miami-Dade County Sheriff's deputy who is in a bit of trouble because he went out on a date with a woman and got a little bit more than he bargained for.
We came back to my place of residence.
Okay.
And that's it.
And what happened inside?
Nothing.
So you guys didn't argue?
No, we didn't argue.
You just stated that you did.
I just kicked her out.
This is the moment Daniel Chala, Miami-Dade County deputy of more than 30 years, is questioned by police at his apartment after a night out at 11.
Why did you kick her out?
Because I didn't care for her.
Why didn't you care for her?
Because I didn't like her.
Okay. Did something happen inside that made you not like her,
There
or
was
that made
no
you kick her
violence
off?
whatsoever.
Chala denies being violent to his guest. The records show he went home with a woman who accused him of wrapping his arm around her neck tightly and refusing to let her go. The woman, who eventually ran out to get help, records show was seen by witnesses bleeding from the mouth and with marks.
Represented at all times that she was a woman, when in fact she was a man, meaning that she still had male anatomy.
Suzy Rivero Ayala, Chala's attorney, says the woman lied to the officer about her gender and he wanted her out.
You guys are like standing here like if I assaulted her. I did not assault her.
Chala was arrested
Turn around. Don't resist.
for allegedly battering and preventing the woman from leaving.
Because you seem intoxicated.
I am intoxicated, but the thing is that...
One would assume you're intoxicated if you, hey, look, bro. Look, don't beat people up. However, don't lie to people. Don't lie to people. Imagine that. Imagine you think you're going to have a great night. And then like that, not so much. Guys, Will Johnson, yep, the clock's on. He's coming up next. I want to thank everybody so much for tuning in. I will see you guys live tomorrow. Until then, everybody, stay loud.